Hello everyone and welcome back to the program. Today I'd like to share a short demonstration of my method on how to write high quality research papers with the least amount of stress and the most cohesion possible. This is a method I've used myself for years. If you take the time to watch this and try it, I guarantee your next essay will be significantly easier to write and of better quality than one you tried to form from loose data as you wrote it. I developed this for myself as I was a history major at my university and showed several others who were impressed and started using it immediately. I wrote my 3 research papers that needed to be registered to graduate using this method, and they were 27, 24, and 22 pages in length, so the size of the essay does not at all affect the viability of this method. I will make this demo a bit more defined for the strugglers, and steps will all be thoroughly illustrated throughout the video. I have provided examples for my video using my eugenics arguments data, although simplified for the purpose of being an example. Often my real notes would be at least 1 line on the paper, up to at least 4 or 5. Remember kids, finding out how many lines you can do is an important part of the college experience. To begin, you'll need a topic. Sometimes this can be the most daunting part of the task. If you have a rubric that focuses your topic, look around within and try to pick something that interests you from it. Usually you can find a crutch of whatever you like to talk about, such as certain people's interests will lead them toward things like women's roles, religious tolerance, etc. These types are usually the easiest because they're from a pre-approved list of materials, and even if it's a topic you don't like, you can usually slog it out and be on your way. Open topics are often more difficult to settle on. Like going into the grocery store hungry, narrowing it down to a smart decision can be quite intimidating, and everything in front of you is just too much to handle at once. What I recommend is to do what I call starting from zero. If you pick something you like or think about often that's not necessarily related to the topic, combine it with the topic and Google it. Really, anything. Once you Google it, look for trends about that topic. You can pick a fairly irrelevant idea and still come out with a solid topic as long as you continue to narrow and refine your searches. Really like video games? You can talk about the 1983 crash effect on consumer confidence, or the arms race to better graphics seen in the 20 years after 1985. Having a passion for your subject makes it exponentially easier, so don't be afraid to talk about something you like because you think someone else will see it as childish. The quality of your argument and writing will make the paper's ability to impress, not the topic. Although it should be noted that these papers are graded by other humans, so don't sabotage yourself. Look at your teacher's interests and biases to make sure you don't pick a topic they will be inclined to think poorly of. If it's a fat, middle-aged woman without a wedding ring, obviously avoid saying anything good about men. Just avoid the truth altogether. It's far too triggering for her to handle. Once you've made the right decision and transferred out of that class, we can continue on to the next step. Once you have your topic, begin thinking about a general area you want to take it. Note that this may change drastically, perhaps based on the findings of your research or later realization of a better topic. I have had this happen to me several times, and never is it anything to really worry about. You need to find sources about your subject, which I will not cover here because it's too long, and also a basic level walkthrough of that is done just about every year of your high school career and at the start of college. You should at least start on your research as soon as possible, because being able to mature the idea in your mind is what makes this way so particularly easy. If you're scrambling for points you want to make with a day or two left, you just won't create the same quality of work. Of course it's been done, and some will defiantly swear by it, but some people will swear by anything. An important thing to remember is while it's good in theory to respect everyone's opinion, NAMBLA, the North American Man-Boy Love Association, actually exists and is a serious group. With that in mind, remember, take advice based off merit, not just because it's advice. Organize your collected data so that it's clear to you what it means and so that you can see it all at once. This allows you to keep the entire topic fresh in your mind and not allow any parts of it to get lost in the confusion. At this point, you want to create some subtopics that fit together with each other and express your data's strengths well and push the argument in a general direction. Sometimes at this moment you will run into a snag where your research doesn't support itself fully, and that's okay, Since you started this early, you will have time to get some supplemental sources and get the facts you need. Think of these as the spinal column of your essay. They provide the necessary support, but need to be aligned correctly or they simply collapse under their own weight. There's obviously some heavy-handed jokes to be made about that, but since Fat People Hate got shut down, I'm afraid the internet police will come get me if I do it. From here, if you have not already formed a thesis statement, you can from the directions your subtopics have taken you. Since I don't want to spoil my upcoming video by revealing my thesis, I'll just tell you that in general your thesis is going to be a very long, dry, run-on sentence that covers every significant point of your argument. Now that I have a thesis statement and subtopics, I want to go into each subtopic and organize my thoughts into an argument within each. This is actually where your essay will take its shape. You take each point and logically find a way to chain them together that best fits how you want to present your argument. I usually number them based out of how many points are in each subtopic. In this time, it is fairly common to push a point into a different subtopic, as I did with my preventive medicine topic from Group 2 to Group 1. Do not be afraid to play around during this step, as obviously all you're doing is playing around with their order. No words should actually be on a formal document yet. Write little notes to yourself about anything you don't want to forget arguing at that point. This step essentially takes the condensed time you would spend at your computer trying to type out and think of how to put the essay together, and spreads it out into a more manageable period. I usually like to be at this stage about 40 to 50% ahead of the time when the project was due, so for a few days, if I had a good idea that just popped in my mind, I open the document, write it down, and then just close it and let it sit again. This is ironic because while I have made it clear to you that you have to start early for this to work correctly, this is probably the most procrastination-prone way that actually still gets great results. Once ordered, you just have to type it. For me, it took less than a third of the time to type it this way than it would doing a freehand essay. Your most stressful parts have now been broken down into simple steps. All you're really doing at this point is making segues, introductions, and putting in some slight ties that you may not have specified in your notes. As long as you can notice patterns, your research will likely lead you to your argument, so you can actually go into the topic blind about what you want to say, and as long as you make sure to collect interesting notes along the way, it will pay for itself by the end. As you can see, this method is very heavy on planning, but the pressure felt while doing it is so light, it's remarkable that it's even the same type of thing that made you freak out before. Alright, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please leave me a comment if you did. If you'd like to see more of my content, please subscribe. Share with anyone who needs help with their essay writing. And as always, to hell with you all, and to all a good night.